Hi there. Okay, so we just finished the user interface and now we're going to talk about these different tools that we have on here. So we need a document to be able to start with because Photoshop doesn't do anything unless you have a document. So if you are going to open any of the documents that you have, the easiest thing to do, okay, if you open, you're going to go straight to probably something that you have downloaded based on the processes that we're going to implement. So downloads any of the pictures. Oh, hey, there's Hunter and some of the other kids that I've done some freelance stuff for. And there's Jillian, and this is some other freelance, and then some of my son. So here's any of the downloads that you have brought or that you got off of Adobe Bridge. That'll be another video itself. So we'll find whatever downloads that you need from there. I'm not opening any downloads at this point, but just so you know, this is a really good tool to be able to have available for us. Open recent. So whatever the last thing was that you just opened, it's going to be right there. So in that last video that I opened, remember that guy? Yeah, he's still there. Okay, so whatever the last thing was you opened is right there. So, but we're going to create a new document. Hopefully we're going to have several of you creating some Instagram posts and stuff for us this year. So we'll go to New. And across here, across the top, there's several different ones that you can use. You can save different ones that you want. I don't have any that I save. I just go to the recents more so than anything. Photos, these are landscape is horizontal this way, and then anything else you've got up here. Portraits, I don't know why they don't have a default for that. View all presets, I guess they've got some. Print is the typical 8.5 by 11. This is your standard piece of paper that you find out of the printer. Legal is a little bit longer. Tabloid is basically two 8.5 by 11s stacked side by side, long sides together, 11 by 17. And then there's some other different presets you have. Art and illustrations. Web, they don't have, maybe they've got some on here, I don't know. I don't see the one that I usually use. The one I use is usually, even if you go to mobile, it doesn't have it. So, but if I go to my recent ones, I quite often create one that's a 1080 by 1080. So, but I don't want it to be 300 because it's something that we would be putting up on the internet. We'll do the math of the 1080 by 1080 some other time when we're in class. I'm not going to deal with it right now, but we're just going to make this resolution be 72 dots per inch. This is pixels per inch, kind of the same thing. Pixels per inch, pixels per inch, and points per inch. Pixels and points are the same thing, 72 dots per inch. Which is your typical monitor, projector, your screen, on your phone, any of that kind of stuff, and RGB. When we take pictures on our cameras, we're using light, and the source of light is the red, green, and blue. That's what these three stand for. So when we go to print, the ink that we use is a cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. That's not what K stands for. K actually stands for key, but it is black. It's a black plate, but it stands for key. But because we're doing one that's going to be something that we would use on the internet, we would just, we need RGB. So RGB it is. We're not going to worry about how many bits color it is. We don't have anything custom on here. We just need white. So this is all set and ready to go. So we're going to say create. Okay, so this, we talked about layers. You will use layers. The background layer, it's locked right now, so there's not a whole lot of anything that you can't really manipulate. I can't like go in and delete it and all that kind of stuff. I do all and I delete it, and so it kind of throws a fit about it. So it's locked, but you can unlock it. It's in italics. When it's in italics, you know that you're not going to be able to do anything to it. But so let's do something to it. Okay, so just so you know, you don't have to select everything if you just want to simply fill the entirety of whatever that layer is. So I've got green selected right here. So to pick a color, you double click on that, and you can change whatever color you want it to be. That was kind of a pretty blue right there, so we're going to do that one. So if I want to fill it, all I do is use Alt and backspace. Alt backspace just fills the whole page. So I didn't have to select it. But this is a selection tool. If you hover over the top of these, you'll be able to see what the quick key is to get to those. This one is a V. Hover over the top of the marquee. That's where you have to know what it's called for you to be able to know what it is. M, marquee. This is the Lasso L Tool. Anything that has one of these little corners at the edge of it, you can click on it and you can pull it out and you can see whatever else. You want to pick a single row. Any kind of these where you want to select these, you want to click and drag. It stretches this way and that way, but if you hold down the shift key, it forces it. So see where my mouse is going? It can be up tall and skinny, but if you hold down the shift key, it forces it to a perfect square. You can also set this if you know that a picture that you have, for example, is going to be and it's 8 inches wide by 6 inches tall, then you can go to a fixed ratio, 8 inches wide by 6 inches tall, and I can say, see, no matter where my mouse is, it's going to pick it to be an 8 by 6, 8 inches wide by 6 inches, and that is proportional. Now, I'll go into the math about that later, just know that it's proportional. Okay, fixed ratio, fixed size. If you know that the size is definitely going to be big enough, you can go in here and you can say that you want it to do Control A. I want it to be 8 inches by 10 inches. Okay, and then you just, wherever you click, there's no clicking and dragging, it just gives you the exact proportion. File, fixed size. Okay, but I prefer, right now we're going to stick on the normal. Okay, so if you go to the elliptical mark tool, how do I get this thing to go away? There's 2 different ways. You can click on it, just so you're on another thing, you click outside of it, or I'm just make it come back. Control Z makes the selection come back, or you can do Control D to make it go away. Now I have the ellipse tool, and I want to make it an oval. Maybe I want it to be that kind of oval, or maybe I want it to be Shift, a perfect circle. So it makes it a perfect circle. Now you're seeing these little lines pop up. Those are smart guides. That tells you that right there is in the perfect center. So maybe I want to make the perfect center a lighter blue. Now, one thing you'll notice here, that it's kind of soft around that edge. Control and space, and I can click and drag, and it's soft around that edge. That's because this has a feather on it. That's as if we took a feather and just took it across that edge and made it nice and soft, like a feather. However, if I want to make it hard, I can put 0 on there. And if I select that and I delete that, no, it's not going to let me do anything because it's the background color. Okay, I'll just Alt backspace on that one. And now when I unselect it, see it's kind of hard. It is hard as you zoom farther out. So that is all controlled by the feathering. I could make it really big. If I made it 20, then we could make some clouds. And maybe some more clouds. You get the picture. Oh, no pun intended. Okay, so all of that is happening on the background layer. So if I try to get a hold of this now, one, it's not going to let me do anything because it's on this background layer. So if I duplicate, I'm going to duplicate this layer. Duplicate the layer, you can right click on it and duplicate it, or you can do Control J. I don't know why they say J, it just is. Okay, so if I turn this off, now I have this one. This is the layer that I've now deactivated. I poke the eyeball, that's how you deactivate a layer. And so then I can move this layer now because it's not the background layer and it's not stuck. So we can move those. I just did Control Z to be able to make it come back. So that is a little bit about the selection tool and the marquee tools. The lasso is a little bit similar, except for that it goes however it wants to go. So if I want to delete those, now I've got the lasso. Now there are Polygonal lasso tool. The way this one works is that you have to click, 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 and if you let go, it does not come back to its end. And you can delete that. But one thing I want you to notice with this lasso tool, if you want to go back and forth between all of these different lassos, if you hold down the Shift and the L, because if you hover over it, look at it, it says L is the lasso tool. If you use Shift and L, it lets you rotate between all of those. So this is the one that my mouse is always stuck on this one. I don't like the other ones. So that's up to you, but I'm just going to tell you if I come over, and then I'm going to grab, because you're not using that one, if you need my help, but that's fine. Okay, but one thing I want you to notice is I'm clicking and drawing on this. If I let go of this down here, it's going to go from here down up to there where I started. And now how does that work if I'm going this way? Now, if I let go, see, now sometimes this is where it causes problems when we're doing selections for a cutout. So just be aware that that's how that happens, and we'll delete that one. What else do I want to go to on this one? With this one, if you do that kind of sort of thing, see how if I let go of the mouse, you have to come and touch base with that one where you get that little O right next to it. It's closing the gap. And I just really hate that one, so I'll escape off of that one and deselect. And then you have the magnet tool, and what this guy does is it tries to find the edges of whatever that you're doing, and it still wants you to find that end of that thing too. So now you know why I don't like those things. Okay, so that's it with the selection tools and the little bit about the layers, and I'm going to end this video and we'll move on to some of the others. That's it for now.